Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Carlos Santana rocks MGM National Harbor tomorrow night in Oxon Hill, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. I spoke with the legendary guitarist about his journey from Mexico to Woodstock, including classic hits like Evil Ways, Black Magic Woman, and Oye Como Va, before his record-breaking phenomenon Supernatural, featuring collaborations with Rob Thomas on Smooth and Wyclef Jean on Maria Maria. Hey, Carlos Santana. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in Washington, D.C.
Hi, it's great to be here, and thank you.
Oh, you're an absolute legend of music history. This is an honor for us. Our radio station, you're gonna break the airwaves with how huge you are. But no, we gotta tell everybody you're coming to MGM National Harbor. It's just across the river of DC in Maryland. It's gonna be on July 26th, so everybody get your tickets. What can we expect from the show? Is it mostly like the blessings and miracles, or do you sprinkle in? I mean, you have had so many albums. You and the Rolling Stones, I think, are the only bands with like a top 10 album like every decade since the 60s. So how do you pick what to play?
Thank you for asking that. I'm very clear with specificity about honoring yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Tomorrow is right now for me is improvising. Yesterday is the songs that people grew up with. Today is the songs that like from Supernatural on, and so, but the main thing is energy, power, grace, and light and love. That's what Santana is. It's a celebration of your divinity and your light.
I love it. And you mentioned, we can get to Supernatural in a second. You mentioned that it's a soundtrack of a lot of our lives in the last couple of years. But I'd love to move a little chronologically and hit some of the bigger hits and stuff and tell some of your story. I know we only got like 10 minutes, but you're always ranked like among the best guitarists ever. But I want to tell our listeners, remind them like when you first picked up your first guitar. I know you were born in Mexico in 47 and eventually made your way up to San Francisco, to form the band and everything in 60s. But, take me back to the beginning when you actually picked up that first guitar. What was it, love at first sight with those chords?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I started out with the violin, as most people know. Then I picked up the bass, and then people told me, you play too many notes to be a bass player. So I picked up the guitar.
And who were you modeling after anyone at the time? Like, were you listening to Sly Stone or Hendrix, or you know what I mean? Like, who are your early influences with that thing?
I think all of us grew up listening to Little Richard. You
Right.
know, I mean, he was the most electric guy before anybody, before Sly or Prince or Elton John or Liberace. I mean, to me, everyone from Jimi Hendrix to the Beatles, everybody learned, including Bob Dylan. He claimed that he wanted to be like as powerful and mighty as Little Richard. Little Richard never got the credit that he needed to, like Elvis Presley or anything like that.
Right.
But to me, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and Bo Diddley, they are the architects of rock and roll.
They changed the game. They set up everything else that followed, and Elvis and Dylan and everybody else sort of borrowed from them, but they really started everything.
Absolutely. Yes.
You're absolutely right. Well, then, so you make your way up from Mexico to San Fran and formed the band in the 60s, that first self-titled album, Santana, in 69. Of course, Evil Ways was a huge hit, and then obviously you played Soul Sacrifice at Woodstock, and that really, I guess, sort of even, brought you even more popularity. But tell me about, recording Evil Ways. Like, how did that, it's such a cool, upbeat, fun, double time type thing. Wait, how did you come up with it?
It was because of Bill Graham. Bill Graham was and will always be my first agent, manager, archangel who watch out for me. I have two people who open humongous doors for me.
Yeah.
One is Bill Graham because of Woodstock, and another one is Clive Davis, Mr. Clive Davis, with Supernatural. So, and I love telling people, you will have your own Bill Graham and your own Clive Davis in your life. God will make sure that you have that. Just be open to it and be grateful, that these people do exist. They will come and open a big, big door for you.
That's really good advice. And yeah, and Graham Bill Graham opening the doors for Woodstock, and you were suddenly your career was born. But my listeners will kill me if I don't ask at least one question about that Abraxas album with Black Magic Woman. That opening guitar is so friggin' sexy of a guitar riff, and then of course Oye Como Va also on there, almost like an old cha 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 you made even more famous. But yeah, and memories of putting together that's a seminal album, man. But memories of putting it together back before any of us knew it. Well, how'd you come up with Black Magic Woman, Oye Como Va? They're legends.
There are songs that were floating around, orbiting around my consciousness. For example, uh, Black Magic Woman was a song that Greg Raleigh uh, brought to the band. Greg Raleigh and I, we were listening a lot to Peter Green at that time. And he said, I think we should do this song. And we rehearsed it in a parking lot in Fresno. And so when it came to my part, I said, okay, I have to go to my portfolio in Rolodex. And so I immediately thought of Wes Montgomery, Otis Rush, and B.B. King.
Nice.
And so that's what you hear at the beginning of Black Magic Woman. Da, 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 octaves like Wes Montgomery. And then, that part is all your loving beauty, baby, which comes from Otis Rush, which Eric Clapton and I love a lot. So to me, it's just, whenever I'm required to take a solo, I always go through my Rolodex and my portfolio and see what kind of musicians I can borrow their style here and there, and create a patchwork. And Gabor Szabo with Gypsy Queen.
Yeah, no, yeah, you gotta borrow. It's not stealing, baby. You borrow. All the greats borrow from each other, and then people still borrow from you. It's just how music goes. And so to find I guess thanks for the Peter Green shout out, the Fleetwood Mac. A lot of people forget that Black Magic Woman sort of started there, but yours is the one everybody knows. So that's how it works.
Tony, the gentleman who just passed, Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett just died the other day.
Yep. Tony Bennett said, if you take from one person, it's called stealing. But if you take from many, it's called research.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna hope to continue to take from you and research here. For you've mentioned Supernatural a couple times, and not to date myself or underdate myself, my youth or whatever, but that's the album that was of my generation. You've crossed so many generations, but I guess that came out. Supernatural was in '99. I guess you had already just gone into the Rock Hall of Fame in '98. Most people would just hang their hat on that and be done. You released your biggest album ever right after that. It was huge. I think it won 9 Grammys, broke Michael Jackson's record of Thriller with 8. I think it still holds the record, tied with U2's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. But tell me about, it's decades into your career at that point. How do you, do you reach out to Rob Thomas for Smooth or Wyclef or Maria and the product? Like, do you reach out to them individually, or how does that come together? Is Clive Davis putting that together? Like, who's reaching out for those collabs?
To tell you the truth, there's an archangel that people don't know too much about. But like people know about Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, but people don't know about this archangel named Metatron. And so I connected with this archangel Metatron, and because of Metatron, I connected with Clive, and Clive connected with Lauryn Hill, Rob Thomas, and everybody. But this was a collaboration around the frequency of Archangel Metatron. Metatron in a like a seance meditation told me, you're going to be more popular than ever. You're going to be in the radio ever. And all we ask from you is every time you receive an award, just say, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sebayot, which means holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Just say that every time you receive an award. And so I kept my promise, and they kept their promise, and here we are.
Wow. How do you say it? In Metatron?
Metatron. He's got a twin female. Her name is Sandalphon, but it's Metatron. If you look at this angel, he's the one that collects all the prayers and he brings them to God. And then when you submit your request or prayer, he takes it to God, and then God and Metatron manifest your dreams and aspirations and your desires.
I love it. Sound like a pretty spiritual guy, sir. I love it. Or at least tapping into the great beyond for inspiration here.
It's all energy, man. If you don't believe it, then you don't get nothing. If you believe it, you get a lot.
Yep, put it out in there and it comes back to you. Absolutely. I love it. And was that the first song that name checked you in your own song, played by Carlos Santana? I mean, that introduced is that the first? I think it might have been the first time your name actually got in your own song.
I guess so. I don't keep track of that, but thank God for Wycliffe. He wrote the song basically just looking into my eyes, and my face became like a chart to read. And he wrote a song, Maria Maria, just looking at my eyes and my face. It was pretty incredible to witness.
Yeah, and what was finals? As we're winding down time here, we're working. I Matchbox 20 is coming to play our area, and I just interviewed their lead guitarist the other day. But what was it like working with Rob Thomas? I mean, they were on fire at that point, and here you come in, and the two of you together made something that probably was better. It's something that neither of you could have just had on your own. Like the collective energies, like you're talking about, created something so smooth.
Yes, I'm very grateful. By the time there's a whole history about how the song was created. By the time it landed in my lap, between Rob Thomas and Ital Shure and Clyde Davis and people around him, there was like 9 to 12 instrumental people that put it together. By the time it landed on my lap, all I had to do was close my eyes and play on it. And the way I remember it was one take. We warmed up the band, this and that, but it was a one take. What is the name of the producer?
Matt Serletic.
Matt Serletic. He was working a lot with Rob Thomas. So, I'm just grateful, man. To me, all my life, it just seems like I'm a recipient of many blessings. I feel like a child that crossed the border, and someone was waiting for me with a bunch of a big roll of tickets to ride all the rides in Disneyland and have any food that I wanted to, ice cream or candy. I really feel like that, man. Since I crossed the border, people have been very, very, very kind and generous to me and my family.
That's so great. Well, let's leave it there then. In the final seconds, you mentioned crossing the border. I mean, I think Supernatural even made you the first. Yeah, I think you were the first Hispanic artist to win Record of the Year at the Grammys. I think, and you've won so many Latin Grammys and 10 Grammys and 13 if you count Latin Grammys. Yeah, just talk about sort of. I mean, are you proud of? I mean, I know you described it as crossing the border and like winning the lottery and getting these tickets, but there's so many younger folks that have come after you that are in a way you are giving them the tickets. You are the one helping them cross over that border. Literally like you did, or metaphorically, just reaching the mainstream. But yeah, are you proud of your place? But sort of bring Latin music into a larger audience.
I don't think like that, man. Basically, I'm a multidimensional spirit that plays life. I don't. A lot of people might get hurt or offended, but I don't belong to like a this flag or this, that, or that. To me, I don't have any emotional investment in patriotism or countries or nation or flags. That stuff to me is corrupt corporations that I don't follow.
That's man-made BS. You're right. Music's universal.
And we are one family in this planet. If you and I would get a chance to do what Bezos does and Elon Musk and go up there in a space shuttle, and you see yourself outside this planet, there's no time up there because it's just now, and there's no borders, and there's no flags, and it's just one heart. We're all one heart. Thank you.
We're all one heart. Santana, MGM National Harbor on July 26th. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jason. Take care.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.